Hello, sixth graders. Today we're working with fractions, decimals, and percents. Let's take a look at a couple examples here. We're going to rename as a fraction. So when we have a decimal, keep in mind that when we have a decimal, the first number right here is in our tenths place. The second number right here is in our hundredths place. This is all review. So we have 0.7, that would be 7/10. So we're renaming that as a fraction. That is written just like this, 7/10. Next problem. Right here we have 41 hundredths, because this last one is in the hundredths place. 41 over 100. 14, so 0.14 is our number, so we have 14 hundredths. Now we can reduce this now because they're both even numbers, and we can reduce this down. So we're going to divide this number by 2, and we're going to get to a 7. We're going to divide the denominator by 2. 100 divided by 2 equals 50. So we would also write down 14 hundredths as 7/50ths. Next number is 0.75, so that would be 75 hundredths. We'd have to reduce this down. If we divide 75 by 25, we would get 3. If we divide 100 by 25, we would get 4. 75 over 100 also equals 3/4. Rename as a fraction, we have 0.36, which would be 36 over 100. Think what number can go into both a 36 and 100. I know I could divide them by 2, but I can also divide each one of these by 4. 36 divided by 4 equals 9. That's why it's important to know your math facts, kids. And then 100 divided by 4 equals 25. So 9/25 is my fraction. Rename as a fraction, we got 0.30. So this would be 30 over 100. I can divide each of these by 10. 30 divided by 10 is 3. 100 divided by 10 is 10. So I have 3/10. Now it says circle the decimal that is equivalent to each fraction. Use your calculator to help you. You're not going to use your calculator on this, but we're going to be having to convert fractions. So the first number is 1/4. My options for 1/4 are 0.5, 0.14, 0.25, 1.4. Well, if I got to take 1/4 and convert it into a decimal, first of all, I have to put this into a fraction with 100 or 10. I'm going to change it into 100. 4 times 25 is 100, so 1 times 25 is 25 over 100, which would be 25 hundredths. So I know 0.5 isn't right. I know 0.14 is incorrect. There it is right there. 25 hundredths is correct, and 1.4 would be 1 4/10, so we know that's wrong. Let's try the next one. We have 1/10. Well, that's pretty easy because that already has a 10 or 100 as the decimal, so that equals 0.1. Which one of these? At 1.1 does not work. 0.1 works. 0.01 would be 1 over 100, right? That's not right, and 0.5 is incorrect as well. So 0.1 is correct. Let's try this next one. We have 2/5. 2/5 I have to convert into something with 10 or 100. Well, 5 can go into 10, so let's make it a 10. So 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. So my decimal would be 4/10. That is right there, 0.4. 0.25 would be incorrect. 2.5 is be incorrect, and 0.2 would be incorrect. Let's take a look at another one here. I'm going to have to change all these fractions into decimals. Okay? And I'm going to skip one of these because I'm going to skip 14/16 just because I want to show you this method before using a calculator. Because to show you how to put this one on a calculator, you would do 14 divided by 16. Because 14/16, you would have to do 14 divided by 16, and that would give you your decimal. And I don't have a calculator in front of me right now, but I'm not going to show you that. But let's take a look at 3/4. How would we change that into a decimal? Well, 3/4, we're going to have to change into 100. Because remember, we have to change everything into 10, 100. We could even go as far as changing it into 1,000 if need be. Because if we change it to 1,000, we know it'd be 3 spots after the decimal. 100 would be 2 spots after the decimal, and 10 would be 1 spot after the decimal. Let's keep watching. 3/4 into 100. 4 times 25 equals 100. So 3 times 25 is 75. So how would I write this as a decimal? It would be 0.75, because that would be 75 hundredths, just like this right here. And what is that as a percent? Everything when we change a decimal into percent, you're always looking at the first two numbers after the decimal. So this is simply 75%. And I've got a calculator now, so let's just do this next one here with a calculator. 14/16 would be 14 divided by 16, and that equals 0.875 on my calculator. Now you're probably wondering, how would I write this as a percent? Well, watch closely. We only look at these first two numbers. We know it's at 87%, and this 5 becomes a 0.5, and then it's percent. So at 0.875, how would we write that as a percent? It's 87.5%. Let's take a look at this next problem here. 15 over 25. Let's convert that one. So I have 15 over 25. The first thing I want to do, can I change it into 10? Can I change 25 into 10? I can't, because 10 is smaller than 25, so I'm going to go into 100. 25 times 4 is 100. 15 times 4 is 60. 60 over 100 equals 0.60. So my decimal is 0.60. My percent is 60%. Pretty easy, pretty basic. Okay, let's keep moving on. 17 over 20. 17 over 20. I have to change it into a 10, 100, or 1,000. You're going to hear me repeat that a lot in class. Can 20 go into 10? It can't, so I have to put it into 100. 20 times 5 is 100. 17 times 5, I'm not exactly sure what that is, so I have to work it out. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. So that's 85. So what is that as a decimal? 0.85, because that's 85 hundredths, just like this. And that would be 85%. Last problem is 3/8. How would we change that into a decimal? Now, 3/8, can I change 8 into 10 easily? I can't. Can I change it into 100? I can't. The only numbers that can go into 10 and 100 would be like your 2s, okay, your 5s, your 10s, your 25s, your 50s. Ooh, that's a bad 50. Can go into 100. Oh, I forgot 20. 20 can go into 100 as well. But 8 can't. But I'm going to tell you something, that 1/8 equals 0.125. 1/8 equals 0.125. So what would 3/8 equal? Well, if 1/8 is 0.125, what would 3 of them be? You're going to have to multiply. 0.125 times 3 equals 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 3 times 1 is 3. Move the decimal 3 spots, because there's 3 spots after the decimal in the problem. So 3/8 is 0.375. And then I'm going to change this to the green color, so I want you to watch very careful. We have 3 numbers after the decimal just like this, 3 numbers after the decimal, so it's 37.5%. We're going to move on a little bit. We're going to work a little bit faster here. So you're going to see tables like this in your problems, and I want you to kind of see how to solve. So the first one, we're going to work backwards. We're at 45%, so that means my decimal would be 0.45, correct? And this would be 0.45 would mean 45 hundredths. I can't leave that alone. I have to divide them each by 5. And we want to reduce these. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 100 divided by 5 is 20. That's my fraction. On this table, and now I have fraction, decimals, and percents. This next line has 0.3 as my decimal. Well, what would that look like as a percent? I'm going to change this 0.3 into 0.30, which means my percent is 30%. 0.30 would mean I'd have 30 over 100 for a fraction. But if I divide both these by 10, my answer is 3/10. Then it's pretty easy. Now I'm looking at fraction, decimals, and percents, and they give me 2/10 as my fraction. For a decimal, that's 0.2. And as a percent, what I'm going to see a lot of you kids do is give me that as 2%. That isn't right. Remember, you have to have two numbers after the decimal, so your answer is 20%. Next fraction, decimal, and percent is they give me the decimal, which is 0.15. So my percent is 15%. So that'd be written as 15 over 100, which I have to divide the top by 5, and the bottom I have to divide by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So my fraction is 3/20. Now you might have to review this a little bit if you're struggling with your fraction, decimals, and percents. But kids, keep in mind, if a number can go, if your denominator can go into 10 or 100, then you'll be able to change it into a decimal percent. If it can't, you may have to use a calculator. But always remember that 1/8 equals 0.125, 125 thousandths. Hopefully this helps. I look forward to working with you in math.